Hi, Matt with etrailer. Today we're going to be talking about the Power Mountain Tallboy Jack. Now, this is going to be a great option since the one we have today is going to be the one for 2 tons. So if you have anything like a side-by-side like we have today, it's going to be the perfect fit for it. And on top of that, if you're doing any type of off-roading or you just need to do some maintenance, that's where this really comes to hand. So, let's check it out. So really the main things that stand out to me about this jack is one, how adaptable it's going to be. So when you are off-roading, you might find yourself in a lot of different types of situations where maybe you only need a little bit of rise, where you don't need these extensions. This is going to be more stable, and that's one of the big things about this, making it as stable as possible. But if you find yourself in an awkward spot where you need a jack to really travel a lot of distance to actually meet where the frame of your vehicle is, that's where this is going to come in hand. We're also going to have 2 different types of tops. So we got this flat top for just a regular frame, and we're going to have this rounded section if you ever need to lift it up by the axle. So it's very adaptable in that sense. And then one of the biggest things for me too is just how reliable it is. But with all that said, let's actually see what it's going to be like to actually use. Now, I tried jacking this up in a few different spots, and I think it's going to be good depending on what you're trying to do. So if you want it further up on the frame, I think that's going to be good. If you're off-roading somewhere and something happens underneath your vehicle, you need to check it out, but you only need to lift it by a couple inches. Further up on the frame is just fine. But if you need the tire actually lifted off the ground because you need to change it, even if it is a larger tire like we have today, what I can do is just put this jack closer to it, and it's going to lift it up just fine. Right now, you can tell this is free spinning, so that's nice that we can get that much lift out of this little tiny jack. And when it comes to lowering it down, it's gonna be pretty easy. All you gotta do is find that little T section here. You're gonna have 2 slots on that handle. We're just gonna make sure we take our time with this, do it slowly. And what's nice about this too is this handle is extra long, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier if it's in an awkward spot, kind of like how it is now. And you'll finally reach a spot where it won't go any further down. So you can just come over here, pull it down with your hand, and take it out. Now when it comes to using this, it's important that you're finding the right spot to put this jack under, because we can put this in a lot of different places since we do have this foot pad. It's going to make things more stable. But if we're in a really narrow spot, we can always just take that foot pad off, so this fits a little bit better. That's what makes it more adaptable. And then we want to make sure, again, that surface is still flat, so we're being safe with this, and where we're trying to jack this up. So let's say we were trying to jack it up right here. I want to make sure that my vehicle is chocked. We're being safe. We have our parking brake on. We'll adjust that a little bit more. And I could put it there. This plate would eventually make contact with this, but that's a decent amount of space to travel. I could put this one on here too instead, and that it's going to save us a lot of travel right there. So you don't have to worry about going up as far, because the further we jack this up, the less stable it's going to become. So we want these to make sure we're being supported properly. We're also going to have longer ones, but the longer one is not always going to help us. Just like here, you can see it's going to make contact. So that's why I like having a variety of these, just to make that process a bit better. But in our case today, I'm actually not going to go with any of them, because I'm going to get right up to our tire and jack it up right here. When we get to that point, we just want to make sure everything is tightened. So we're actually going to be lifting up and not staying on the ground. There we have it. And when it comes to actually lifting it, it's going to be like any other type of jack or bottle jack. We're going to have that section. You just push here. Of course, at this time, we're not going to have too much tension here. And once we eventually make contact with this, we'll feel a little bit more tension. So now, I got a little bit. It doesn't feel like it's overwhelming, even though this is a smaller jack. I will say we do have a smaller vehicle, so this is just fine. Now, if you're trying to lift up anything like a larger truck, I'd recommend going with a different one. I'd actually recommend the one probably designed for 6 tons. That's going to go through those just fine. So let's talk about some of the specs. So one of the most important ones is what kind of lift are you going to get from this? So if you go from the base of the jack itself to the actual height, the highest point up here, that's going to be about 26 3/4 inches. Now if you include this foot plate at the very bottom, that's going to make it just a little bit over 27 inches. So that's a decent amount of travel right there. Now we can adjust that height in a lot of different ways. If you need this, it'll be just slightly shorter. We're going to have this piece right here. That extension is going to be the shorter extension. And if you remove that height from the base of the jack to here is just going to be a little bit under 24 inches. You remove one of the longer extensions, that's going to shorten it just a bit. These two are going to be the same length though. So we remove that. Now it's going to be, let me put that base pad back on here. It's going to be just a little bit under 18 inches. And then we can even put it in a lower position right here. And from this point, this is going to have about 11 3/4 inches. But you'll also notice something else I have here. We're going to have this little extension here, and if I just remove this by unthreading this bolt at the very top, it is a pretty long bolt, so give it a second. But once that's removed, you can thread this back into place, and this is going to have a shorter amount of travel. Again, that bolt does take a little bit to thread back on. But now, when we get that height from this point, this is going to be at about 10 inches. Now, all those heights and adjustments are important because it gives us an idea of what kind of situations this is going to be compatible with, and if it's going to help us or not. But we want to make sure that the shortest height of this is going to be compatible with the vehicle, if it's going to fit on there or not. So, if we go from the bottom of that jack to the top of this, we're going to get just right under 8 inches. So that's not very high, so it will be compatible with most vehicles out there, especially anything smaller like your side-by-sides. I will say, when you do have this up, you will want this just slightly extended out, so we have a proper hold on this, so it's not going to tilt over when we are using it. And the other spec that's worth talking about is going to be the construction and what it's rated for. So this solid construction allows us to lift up 2 tons like we were talking about earlier, so great for our smaller vehicles. But the big thing that stands out to me is it feels really solid. The only point that I find that has any type of movement to it is going to be, of course, the spot where we're actually lifting up the jack, and that's what we want. So for this tiny jack to feel this good is a big win for me, especially when we're going off-roading, because we want to save as much space as we can, and we want something that's just easy to carry around. We don't want to carry around this super heavy jack that takes up a lot of space. Really, even when we look inside of our bag here, the attachments and the jack barely even take up 1/4 of the space in here. So if you have anything else you want to throw in the bag that comes with the kit, like any type of recovery kit you might have, or some wheel chocks, which you can find here on a website if you don't already own some, it fits really nicely in here too. Overall, I think this is going to be a solid choice of a jack if you're looking for something to really work with multiple different types of terrains, and you want something that's still going to be reliable, even if you have to travel quite a bit or just a little bit. And one of the biggest things for me with this one in particular is just its size. With it being this small, it just makes it really easy to put in the back of your vehicle and save you space for other type of accessories or items you might need on the road. Now, if you do decide to go with this, let us know how it's working for you, or if it saved you out of some really sketchy spots. But again, if you guys have any questions, let us know here at eTrailer. And I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.